You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Okay, here we go. 9 days away, single digits from the season opener. Nick Alberga, Jay Rosehill on a Monday. Leafs Morning Take presented by Bet365. Rosie, what a weekend of sports. Were you also stapled to the couch?
I wish I had personal child sports going on, but yeah, I got my fill in. It was lots of good stuff to watch, from hockey to baseball to golf. It is a pretty nice little shoulder season we've got here, and this weekend was showing just that. So what was your favorite part?
I don't know. I didn't watch the Ryder Cup, but the more and more I watch clips on social media, I wish I had watched it. Like, there was a lot of shit talk, which I love to see.
Yeah, it kind of comes out more so after the fact when you get the social media going, but it was rowdy, and it's known to be really difficult to play on foreign soil, but it's gotten to the point where, I don't know, it's still supposed to be like a classy sport and gentlemanly and that stuff, and most people this day don't give a rip about that stuff anymore, I guess. But when you're like ripping on a guy's wife and potential divorce, and the guy that's promoting the first tee is going F you, Rory, like getting a chant going with the F word in it. Like, what are we doing? So hopefully they clean it up a little bit. But the golf itself was insane and almost a huge comeback by the States. But and then the Jays obviously pulled her off, which I got to see kind of in between intermissions of my kids' game, which was pretty great to see, actually.
I'll be honest, I thought you were describing Sean Avery's career there for a second. Then I realized you were talking about golf, because he did all the above. He pressed C, and he's like, yeah, Marty Brodeur, let's take it to another level. That was a storied rivalry in itself, but surely in these parts, that's the monster story in Toronto. And I'll be the first to admit it. I was wrong about this team, okay? Going into the year, did so many shows where I'm like, I don't believe in this team, and it's sort of funny because none of the offseason additions did much, from Santander to Hoffman, and I think they're a very likable team. That's where I would start, but very resilient. I think that's my major takeaway from the regular season, at least, is like they just didn't give up. And it truly is a miraculous story when many peg you to just miss the playoffs completely. To win the division now of a bye is pretty damn epic, dude.
Yeah, it is. Where are they partying there?
That's in their room, man. They set it up like a club. It's awesome. The clubhouse.
Like a disco. Crazy. Yeah, interesting, man. Good for them. Again, I don't know. I lean on you guys a little bit more for the baseball, the details of it. I don't get too that into the weeds with it. I just hope the Jays are good, and that's about it. But I don't think expectations being that high to winning that division is pretty unreal, and makes for a fun October. Obviously, we got a lot of hockey to watch and get into and start this NHL season off, but lots of reason to watch the Jays here as the MLB playoffs kicks off too.
Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show. Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and third in the world. Even glazed across, Marc-Andre Fleury. I think a couple people in the chat were wondering if you can suit up for one final preseason game as a member of the Maple Leafs. Is there a distinct possibility of that, Rosie?
And just run around like a mutant one last time, where all these kids are like, what is wrong with this old guy? It would almost be worth trying to get something to happen. But no, I've seen that a couple times in the comments, and very flattered, but they are a long ways removed from that kind of thing. So let's be thankful we don't have to worry about that.
Hey, I didn't tell you this. We're getting new beer league jerseys finally for the first time in a decade. Guess what number I'm rocking?
38.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just submitted my order today. I don't know. I wear number 8. It's a random number to begin with, because I just picked up a jersey when I joined the team, and we're making new jerseys. They're sick, and I'm like, let's just go 38 for Jay Rosehill. I was going back and forth between 38 and 37, paying homage to your days in Philadelphia, but I'm going 38.
Well, with the Leafs, I mean, come on, you got to do 38.
I'm wearing it for Fraser McLaren, by the way. I want to be succinct with that. It's Fraser McLaren's former number that I'm rocking.
I was kind of mad that a guy of the exact same ilk, the very same year, wore my number right after, and you could kind of see the madness. We fought first time we played, and I was mad. He was trying to be nice and like buddy, and I was kind of like, the rare time that I have a bit of FU going. It was about the number, to be honest, but I think he's a pretty good dude.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And Rasmus Sandin went on to wear number 38 too, so maybe an elevation in that number. Would you suggest a bit?
I would say any progression of that number would be an elevation from where I had it. Yes, agreed.
Hey man, it was a very nostalgic weekend. Like I walked home from, so I went to the game on Saturday, Leafs Habs, which was just a bad mistake. A Saturday night. We'll get into that game, but walked by the Underground, and I know behind the scenes we've talked a lot about that establishment, like legendary spot here in Toronto. It's been gone for years now. You remember it?
Oh, that was like the spot when I was there. We were across the street at the hotel, kind of kitty corner to it on Blue Jay Way and King.
Yeah, yeah.
And we just happened to walk over there. I was another guy was traded to Toronto with me from Tampa's organization, and we would frequent that place, and it ended up just rocking. Like members of the media were in there, and the Blue Jays were in there, some of us Leafs guys and stuff. It was an absolute blast, and it seemed like we just one of those places you felt like you had the run of the joint and knew the owner, and they'd leave it open till 3 a.m. and all the rest of it. So yeah, pretty good memories there. But I think it's a skyscraper now, that bloody place.
I don't know even what it is. Like they just like modified it. But yeah, there's just way too many spots in Toronto. And I was just walked home too because the weather was so great, man. Like it doesn't feel like hockey season yet, but I think it hits differently when you can go to a game, a Leafs game specifically, and it's not cold out. Like it was so nice out going to the game, and everybody was jacked up about the Blue Jays over the weekend. But walking to the game was very nostalgic because I walked back as well and I saw the Underground. Thought of you right away because we had brought back memories of that spot way back when. Also getting set, Rosie, as you know, for our fantasy drafts. I know they're doing a live mock draft tonight over at Daily Faceoff. Make sure you check that out on their YouTube page. But it's your one-stop shop for everything you need to build the perfect fantasy roster: player projections, updated line combinations, power play units, sleeper picks, bust warnings, and team previews. Like I just did a podcast earlier on with NHL Fantasy on Ice. Go check that out as well. Anton Lundell, big topic of conversation right now with Sasha Barkov, done for the season. But you can head on over to dailyfaceoff.com/draft-kit. Get your hands on the fantasy draft kit. And also looking forward to the Daily Faceoff Survival Pool, which is officially live, as you know, Rosie. Elimination strategy, $2,500 grand prize for the last fan standing. Pretty self-explanatory in terms of rules. You start with 2 lives. Each round, you pick one winner from the slate of NHL games. So here's the twist. You can only use each team twice throughout the entire contest. The pool runs until there's just one person left standing, and that winner takes home $2,500. Again, head on over to dailyfaceoff.com for full sign up. And it just means the season is just around the corner. I can't believe we're 9 days out now, Rosie.
Yeah, it's nice. Single digits. Finally, it's nice. And that, I'm taking part in that draft here tonight. And
Nice.
I'm not sure I know what I'm doing, but I will be live doing it for the DFO and giving a little blurb on the Maple Leafs this year and my projection. So looking forward to that.
Make sure to check that out. I believe Zach Phillips is going to guest on that show as well. So that's coming up, I believe, at 7 Eastern time tonight on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. We got a Maple Leafs legend on today's podcast. I think the second time he's been on this show here. Darryl Sittler, dude, is going to drop by in about 20 minutes. Pumped for this to get his thoughts on the offseason, what's upcoming for this team this season as well.
Yes, for sure. It's good to lock him down. He was a guy that's always kind of, seems to be around and takes part in the alumni and everything, and obviously a legend of his day. So definitely be fun to pick his brain and see if he's got any unique insight about this team this year. And I'm sure he's excited as everyone else to get this thing going.
At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And don't forget to visit theleafsnation.com. I tell you what, only fitting the Blue Jays are doing so well, specifically on Sunday, because the Maple Leafs knocked this Stolarz extension out of the park, Rosie. 4 years, 3.75 AAV. He's 31. That is 7.42 combined for the next 2 years after this one for Stolarz and Wall. Great cap hit, team-friendly from that perspective, player-friendly from the lengthened contract. I love it all around here. Did you?
Yeah, like I would have, that's how I would have drawn that up and then had everyone come at me going, oh, rose-colored glasses and there's more people in the negotiation than the Leafs. And I don't know, I think he could have got more. I know he could have got more on the open market, and I think he could have probably got more from the Leafs. But I don't know, dare I say there's a pattern of Maple Leafs taking team-friendly deals, which, to be honest, is a really nice change from the Dubas era, where it seems like they just shot the moon and got everything they ever asked for. From Tavares now and Stolarz. I think to me, you never really know what players think about the team because they're not that honest to the media and you don't have that kind of access to them. But when they sign deals like that, it leads you to believe that they really and genuinely think that the team is going to do something special here in their tenure of their contract. And that's great to see. And again, John Tavares taking just a massive discount from what he could have gotten, what we thought maybe he would try to get, and we hoped he'd take a little bit of a discount. And now Stoli here, again, I believe he could have got more. His numbers speak volumes. He's proven himself in this market, and he just simply could have got more, but chose to take a nice deal and didn't want the headache of waiting around and holding out and coming to odds and having the media get involved. He just signed a nice contract that he was happy with that said, I want to play for this and play on this team and be in this city, which is phenomenal. And we're happy to have him.
Put it this way, outside of David Kampf, has there really been a contract signed by Brad Treliving where we're like, holy shit, what the hell is that? Like, I think going into things as the GM and the new GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, a lot of people were wondering if they could lean on his negotiation skills and his expertise and his experience. And I think he has done an unbelievable job with a lot of these contracts, from Ekman Larson to Tanev, Nylander, Matthews. Like, I can't remember a contract where I'm like, I can't believe they paid that guy that much money. And that is a rarity considering everything you just talked about in the last decade of the Maple Leafs. Every time they sign a contract, you're like, you're kidding me. And now it's like team-friendly deal after team-friendly deal. Like, dude, this is an exceptional contract. Even if he plays to 2/3 his strengths from last year, what he put together, I love it. The cap hit's great. Not to mention the cap space for next summer. Like, they put themselves in a really, really good position to do something substantial over the next couple of years here.
I think so. I mean, it's the things we don't worry about right at the moment as much as the back end and the goaltenders. They're solid, but you got to keep them around and keep them fresh. And to bring in Stoli was such a play that paid off so much last year. A bit of a gamble, guy. Okay, now we don't really have like a bona fide number one. It turns out that's like the greatest thing. They both can be a number one, but neither of them need to be a number one, and they just hit that crease so well. And it's also, if you look at the history of goaltenders in this market, it chews them up and spits them out pretty easily, right? It's a very difficult job as far as the pressure and the spotlight and everything that comes along with it. And I think Stoli has proven he can play with that pressure and has the mentality to handle it. He performed glowingly all season long, and I don't expect him to do anything really else but pick up where he left off. So again, yeah, to lock that down is what you need. And he's not eating a ton of cap, and it's not this exorbitant contract that you're going to regret down the road. Like, everything about it is good. And like I said, there's been a few of those, call it tree living, call it the players believing in where the team's heading and wanting to be part of something special, but things are kind of aligning in a lot of ways. And yeah, like you said, aside from that Kampf contract, which was a little bit of a head scratcher, and again, he's like a fourth line guy who may not even need to be here. So not that big of a deal, but all the contracts that Tree Living has signed have just been, a little bit of applause after saying, man, I understand that. It makes sense. Very hard to argue with. So I love that there's no controversy that comes with these things.
21-8-3 last year, 2.14, 926, 4 shutouts. And I think that's the big story too, is like just the tandem in general with Stolarz and Wall, 7.42 combined after 2 years for the next 2 years after this one. I think is money in the bank, especially with the salary cap going up the way it is. Like, I don't know what the percentage of the cap is, but I think it's shrewd business because it sets yourself up to have flexibility across the roster. Like, what's been the big story with this Maple Leafs team is like how top heavy they've been. But you're so right. Crease has been solidified. The back end's been solidified. And as we've seen, it's going to take some time, but I think they're going to solidify the forwards and be a perennial contender here in shortcoming.
Well, I hope so. I mean, the way it's set up right now, you got a bunch of guys coming off the books, not to look past this season, but when you do look past this season, a bunch of guys are coming off the books, but you still have the nucleus and the important parts of this team. And you got $24 million in cap space next summer. And it's not like your entire team just left. Like, well, what could you do with that? I think they'll be able to address an aging decor after this season. Lots of things to look forward to. But at this time of year, to be honest, When you're looking at October, you're focused on this season and what's right in front of you. And I think that getting Stolarz done is nice to get that off the books and out of people's minds, especially Anthony Stolarz' mind. And now he can focus on hockey just like he did last year. And another piece of business tidied up from Mr. Tree Living, which I can't say enough about that guy at the helm.
Love to see it at the Leafs Nation 4-1. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So Anthony Stolarz makes his preseason debut over the weekend. What a stinker of a hockey game at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday night. A lot of the Maple Leafs regulars, Auston Matthews notwithstanding, playing in that game, didn't have much going. I know after the game I was there when Berube was doing his post-game presser, and they're like, what did you like the most? And he's like the 6 and 5 at the end. So just pretty much tells you all you need to know about that preseason game. But Tavares gets 1-1. Nylander scores. He's got a new YouTube channel as well. What do you make of that? Nylander, like, if I were to tell you 2 years ago, even 4 years ago, or when we started this show, that at least player would have a YouTube channel, you'd call me insane. But things have changed the last couple of years.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. New age stuff. I don't know. You look at like Bryson DeChambeau, who was he's a high end golfer, and he was kind of the enemy of everyone. Everyone thought he's a dickhead. He didn't handle his business well. He just came off really badly in the media and was kind of hated on by a lot of people. And then he got a YouTube channel, and just not my cup of tea. He's doing dumb shit, like trying to get ping pong balls into whatever. Like, kids are just addicted to YouTube these days, and regardless of whether I am into that, it's certainly not directed at me, but it has completely transformed his persona, the money that he generates and the viewership he has. And now he's this heavyweight media guy on top of being a high-end golfer. And through that channel, he's able to like control the perception of himself with the public and show people that he's not a dickhead. And good for him. I don't think Nylander has that problem, but I guess we'll see where it goes. Again, I don't know, not stuff I envision talking about, but they are their own brand nowadays, and having that, and I'm sure he'll skyrocket to many, many followers very quickly, depending on what he's doing on there. But that's a good piece of business for him personally, which I don't really care about, but it's worth mentioning as it's kind of unique, isn't it?
It is. And just as an aside, to tie a bow on the Stolarz conversation, Stolarz has a 16-team no-trade clause that kicks in now, applies to year one of his extension, which goes to a 10-team no-trade list in 2 and 3, and a 5-team no-trade in year 4. So that gives him a bit of flexibility down the road. Of course, if we expect Hildeby to take that next step over the next couple of years. Just seeing Brad Treliving addressing the media, not much of an update on Joseph Woll, but he did say this on Reimer. We know what James is. We're going to take the next couple of days to let him get his feet under him. You can never have too much depth at the position. With Joe's situation, wanted to make sure we've got options. It was interesting over the weekend. I was at beer league. I was at dinner with my family. Everybody wanted to talk about James Reimer, and like they were sort of freaking out. I'm like, it's a PTO. The guy hasn't even signed a contract yet. But, everybody's like, why Reimer? Why Reimer again? Like, I didn't read too much into the PTO at all.
What would you have done differently? I always love when people criticize, and then I go, well, what would you have done? Like, it's so easy to be like, that's dumb. It's like, well, what were your options? What's dumb about it? It's a PTO. You could make it disappear today if you wanted to. It costs you nothing. Here's a guy who's been in the market, who's a veteran, who understands how it works in Toronto, who could come in and absolutely make some saves for you if need be. What is the problem? Rather than getting somebody else or signing someone else and having another contract and dealing with waivers and where's this guy going? Does he go in the Marlies? And then you screw the guy over by signing him and then just burying him. There's nothing about this that doesn't make sense to me with the out of the blue disappearance of Joseph Woll. So I don't. Yeah. It's just a kind of a fun blast from the past for some people who have paid attention to Maple Leafs throughout the different generations of it. There's James Reimer from back in the day. It's I don't get how you could have anything but an understanding of what was going on there.
Reimer, by the way, practicing with the Marlies today and not heading with the main Leafs group for their Muskoka bonding trip. So read into that the way you want. A bunch of cuts earlier today. I'm not going to list them all, but the names you expect, the lines at practice before they headed off to Muskoka: Nyes, Matthews, Domi, McMahon, Tavares, Nylander, Joshua, Waugh, Michelli, Lawrence, Lawton, and Cowan. And then there was a fifth line of all the other guys who are on the bubble. So it looks like Cowan could have the inside track to be on the opening night roster. They got 2 more games left, Thursday and Saturday. I would assume Thursday they'll dress their opening night roster because Matthews will be in there, right?
Yeah, depend on little bumps and bruises probably. No one seems to have been like really taking the brunt of the load here. Be interesting to see, man. It's down to the nitty gritty when you go on those team building trips after training camp and start to get to know each other, and you start to look around and say, I think I know what this team is going to look like. On opening night as that creeps closer and closer. So we will see. Honestly, I think we know what the roster is going to be aside from Cowboy Cowan. And is he going to do enough to make this team better and to justify keeping him on the roster and having that risk of having such a young and experienced player be put in that position? Obviously, his play is what can, make that decision for everybody by playing the way he kind of has so far in preseason and justifying a roster spot. So that's what we'll look out for in the next couple of days. That's for sure.
Yeah, and as we've been talking about, I mean, camp, the time is running out. They got 2 games left, and one's going to be with their opening night roster. So you would have to think, I mean, if you're putting money on it, I think Cowan's going to be in that lineup for the first game against the Montreal Canadiens on October 8th. But the back end, there's still a bit of questions when it comes to the health of Simon Benoit, but back skating, which is great to see. We think he's going to play with OEL, but if it's not Benoit, it's going to be Myers. I mean, we'll see if Benoit can get into some action here. He's got about 9 days before the opener here, but it's great to see. I mean, knock on wood from a health standpoint, they've dodged a bullet thus far. Maybe it's bad for me to say that, considering everything that's happening around this league, but certainly excited for things to come. And certainly we have seen it so far here in the preseason. Berube checking in on different lines. Like even Matias Michelli, man, played over the weekend on the 3rd line. He's been on the 1st line. It seems like they're fixated on starting Domi on that top line, though, doesn't it?
Kind of does, and I see Michelli as more of a guy that you could find lightning in a bottle with like Matthews. Yep. Like that's kind of why you got him, is his vision and his skill and his ability to make plays that other people can't. Where Domi has got certainly some skills to even be considered to be on the top line with those boys, but to me, he's got that ability to be that dog and to have, just a really deadly 3rd line that you could, really utilize in the playoffs. And let's be honest, that's what it's all about, is the playoffs and getting by the teams that have got the right formula right now, like the Florida Panthers. And I just see Domi being like, finding gel with, like, whether it's Dakota Joshua or Waugh or whoever it is, and coming down the stretch in January and February being like, this is the best 3rd line in hockey, or arguably one of them, and Domi's very much on it. I don't really see us going into the playoffs being like, Max Domi is our first liner and we're going to the cup this year. Like, it just doesn't really fit as much. And it's not a knock against Max. I just think that with his well-rounded capabilities of being a little bit of a bulldog too, he'd be better suited taking his abilities to like a 3rd line and just having a really bloody good one that is well-rounded, that you can put out and play lots of minutes and have them in the last minute of a game or a period and really rely on them, and they're blocking shots and forechecking and doing everything that Berube wants. I just see that more than Domi being this centerpiece of the first line with those 2 guys. It just kind of blows my mind, but yeah, they do seem fixated on it anyway, and I'm sure he'll get some reps up there.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I'm with you. I like the Michelli fit better on the top line. I mean, it's so early, and we'll see how chemistry works. And we have seen it in the past with that trio, Nyes, Matthews, and Domi. So I get it. Like, I think both guys in the long run are going to get a look. But you talk about ceiling. There's a much higher ceiling with Matias Michelli offensively than there is with Max Domi. At this point in his career, we know what he is. Michelli's looking for a bounce back. A couple years ago, what did he have? Around 57 points. I know Domi's proven in his career he can put up some points, but he struggled as a Maple Leaf to generate offense. And I just think in the short work we've seen with Michelli, they're trying to find a spot for the guy. But I just don't know if that fit makes sense for me with Joshua and Waugh on like a checking line. And I understand what they're trying to do to spread the wealth and have a playmaker to play with 2 big guys who are going to get you the puck. But the fit doesn't, it's square peg round hole type conversation. But in the long run, I guess we'll find out. I think we're going to see a lot of line changes over the year. Yeah,
I do. And yeah, maybe that's kind of, slated for Bobby McMahon to be on that line. But just that type of a feel is what I was thinking. And I'm everything could change. And I'm not saying Michelli is on that line and he should be, and it's ridiculous if he's not. But I am saying We know what kind of happened with him in Utah. He, was putting up numbers that make you think, holy man, this young guy has got a lot to offer in Phoenix. And then something seemed to have happened there. He was not happy, he wanted out, was not being utilized, or maybe his head wasn't, whatever it was, it was not a good fit. So I almost take those numbers in Utah and say, okay, wash him away, get him into a position where things are slated better for him, and see what he does. And to me, that is put him on that top line and see if he can pop off with the talents of Matthew Nyes and Auston Matthews complementing him. And I do think they will. I do think they will get those reps. I just thought they would start with it for sure, but they certainly seem to really like that Domi fit as well, which there's been chemistry too. I'm not knocking it. I just see Domi not being the top line guy of the Toronto Maple Leafs if we're going to go the distance.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, I don't like him at center. Like, I know they've given him significant looks up the middle, and we saw it over the weekend. There's just something different. Like, he played with that sass and that spice over the weekend, which you love to see. But we talked about this last week. If you're the coach, I do not know how you evaluate talent. Like, because the Leafs, again, dressed a complement of their like a lot of their roster over the weekend, and just had nothing. Like, it just preseason hockey. So I don't know how you analyze and evaluate guys like Yarncroke and Camp when he's in there, and Robertson. I'm happy I'm not a coach. I'll say that.
I know it's not fun. It's frustrating for the coaches too, but like, I think the ones with all the experience, which Berube does have, understands what it is. And it's hard to quantify, like, why is the preseason like that? Why aren't guys chomping at the bit a little bit more? And the thing is, a lot of them are, but a lot of the ones that are a little safer probably aren't. And it kind of throws off the dynamic of the team, where you're used to everyone, playing for real with kind of almost everything they got. But, certain guys are just, they're not gonna, it's more of a dress rehearsal, right, where you're kind of going through the motions in some ways, and those little details aren't going to be there, and it totally throws the game off. So that's why we don't put a lot of stock into it. But yeah, I don't know, to me the roster's set, with the exclusion of that fourth line on the right side. There, is it Yarncroke, is it Robertson, is it Cowan? And that's kind of the only thing that I think is left to decide. And one of them's going to go away, and the other one's going to be the 13th forward. And there's going to be a little bit of a rotation. But other than that, I don't think a lot of surprises are going to happen. I don't think a lot of that deep of decisions are going to have to be made roster-wise. Who's playing with who? Yeah, that might be a different discussion. But again, you don't have to write something in stone and stick to it all season either. And with the moves that have been made on the Toronto Maple Leafs and some of the different people that have come in, there's going to be that not growing pains, but that growing period of trying different line mates, seeing where the chemistry is, seeing what you have and who's gelling with who. And I think that'll be probably the majority of the month of October and going into November.
By the way, I was told, and it's funny, the Leafs are linked to every damn player, but the Kuznetsov stuff, not to read too much into that. I know he was linked to the Leafs and Panthers, weirdly enough. The Panthers just lost their number one center, so they're looking for a center in Kuznetsov. So I wouldn't look in that direction, Rosie, if I were you.
Oh, is that a little insider information that you got on that phone numbers that you got running around your hand all the time? Yeah, I don't know. I didn't take to him. I never get into those too much. Some guys throw stuff at the wall and see if they can get it to stick on social media. I'm not really interested in that. I'm interested in real information. So that's good to get off the plate.
Tell you what, very interested in today's guests here on Leafs Morning Take at the Leafs Nation 401. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. So happy to bring in Maple Leafs legend, former captain, Hockey Hall of Famer. It is Darryl Sittler. Darryl, thank you so much for doing this. How are you?
Good. Good morning, everybody.
How are you?
You hear me?
We got you. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, we'll try to reconnect here with Darryl in a second. We'll try to reconnect with you. I think we're having a couple of technical difficulties here with Darryl Sittler to drop by here in mere moments on Leafs Morning Take. But certainly, I think when you look at this Maple Leafs team, Rosie, everything starts with Auston Matthews. Do you have any issue with him just playing a couple games? I know he's only going to play his second game here.
No, I don't. Players like that, dude, they kind of run the show as far, like, no one's telling them what they have to do, right? Those guys, get to a certain level, and there's not many that can, and there's not many that talk to them who know what it's like to be at that level. So to tell Auston Matthews, no, I don't care what your thoughts or feelings are on this, you're going to be playing in 4 exhibition games. Like, no, he's gotten to that level because he knows what he's doing. And if he wants to play 2 because that's what he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do. And I have no problem with superstars like that deciding on when they're going to play and how they're going to play. And he's dealt with injuries before, and I'm sure that's leading the charge on his health and stuff like that. So no issues with that. You let those guys do what they want to do. They didn't get that good by accident.
Yeah, fair enough. And we'll see when Auston Matthews does play. I would assume it's going to be the home game on Thursday, and that would give him, 6 days off between games, between Thursday and the home opener and the season opener coming up next Wednesday. So I think by all accounts, I mean, everything looks good on Matthews, but everything hinges on his health this season. Like, it's all about Auston Matthews, in my opinion.
Yeah, big time. And it's hard to know. Like, by all accounts, it does look good, and he says he's good. But last year, he didn't say really anything, and he wasn't good for a long time, and you could tell that, and it showed. And I hope that's a thing of the past. I don't want any leafy news dumps to come our way where some shocking thing happened. But we have dealt with that before. But yeah, by all accounts, they're healthy, and excited to get the season going. And I think Daryl's ready to rock here, and maybe we can throw to him and get his insight on it. That's what I'm hoping.
Daryl, you got us?
Yeah, do you got me?
We got you. Perfect. No? Thank you so much for doing this. I wanted to start. We were just texting back and forth last night. The Toronto Blue Jays, what have you made of that magical story?
It's been fun. I don't think any of us obviously thought at the start of the year that we would be in the position we were. They're a fun team to watch, which is awesome. And the crowd's excited. The city's excited. They're selling out every game, selling lots of hot dogs. So it's all good.
Yeah, and I mean, if they seem to be a team that are really tight and get along, and they have that family atmosphere, obviously that's huge. And you've been part of many teams. That's a big part of winning, is it not?
Well, certainly the character of the players you have on your team. I can just go back when I played, and we're still good friends today. Guys like Lanny, Tiger, Boria, Mike Palmateer, all colorful guys. And you create a chemistry and a bond together. When you win together, obviously it grows a lot. I think when you go through adversity, it grows also. So the fact that they're doing the things, I mean, obviously they took it down to the wire, which put a little pressure on everybody, but they came through when they had to come through. And now we're excited that they got a week to rest up a little bit and get ready for the playoffs.
Fired up about Saturday, fired up about October 8th, of course, the season opener for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and fired up for Anthony Stolarz, just a really, really good dude. Like, Rosie played with him, of course, but signs a 4-year extension. What'd you make of that?
Well, I think it's awesome. I mean, you're not going to go anywhere in this league, especially the playoffs. You have outstanding goaltending. It was unfortunate that last year might have made a difference in that series. We'll never know that. But the fact that he's such a big guy, he covers a lot of net, and he had great success last year, and there's no reason why he can't continue having a great season this year. Hopefully he stays healthy, but you got to have that if you're going to go anywhere for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like under Tree Living Rate recently here, guys are signing contracts that you're kind of surprised you got them at that number, and they seem like team-friendly deals. To you, does that kind of mean that the players have belief in something special happening in Toronto?
Well, I think that has to be part of the equation. Obviously, with the salary cap, we're not sure how much it's going to go up next year, but you take Florida Panthers as an example. The guys that they maintained and kept and gave a little bit back, knowing that they wanted to maybe have a shot at winning a cup, another cup. Obviously, playing in Florida probably had something to do with that also. But yeah, if you have that, now's the time for the Maple Leafs. It has been for the last 3 or 4 years. We didn't get it done, but we still have an opportunity to get it done. They've changed some of the chemistry. As you know, I don't know all those players coming in, but it seems to me they're a little bigger in size, a little bit more grit. I think Berube's style of coaching has always been to play kind of team defense and make it hard to play against. And you have to have that, especially in the playoffs, if you're going to go all the way to the final.
And Daryl, it's interesting you bring up the Florida Panthers. Of course, the NHL world's still reeling of the big news of Sasha Barkov done for 7 to 9 months. Like, put us in the mind of a player and the perspective when you hear news that significant, especially with a division rival.
Yeah, certainly that's tough for them. I mean, obviously he's a key player. He's their leader. He's their captain, and they've won cups. So he's been been there. They have a lot of respect for him. But he'll get back. I mean, it's a tough injury, obviously, missing 7, 8 months, so to speak. But at the same time, they've got lots of other character on that hockey club, and they're not going to be easy. I look at our division; it's going to be tough. Ottawa, I have a lot of respect for them. They got some good young players. They got some character. They got a great management team there. So nothing's going to be easy for us to get there again. But again, if you want to win, you have to have that type of team to do so. So Barkov, I wish him the best. I mean, obviously they're going to have to bring somebody in to fulfill that role in some capacity. I'm sure they can fulfill it, but they got to bring somebody in to play in that position for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Daryl, we've been covering training camp here for a while now. I remember training camp. It changes throughout the generations for sure. But what are your memories of training camp during your era?
Well, it changed a lot. When I first came in 1970, the players' union wasn't very strong. The training camps were very long. We trained in Peterborough, but I was a young kid coming out of junior, and I realized the importance of conditioning, and I wanted to be in the best shape I could going into my first training camp. But when I got there, I found a lot of those players didn't do a whole lot in the summertime. They'd been in camp to get in shape. When Roger Nielsen came to the organization in the mid 70s there, he was one of the finest coaches I ever played for. But the important thing that he taught all of us is, as a team, the importance of preparation right from day one. And we came in there before training camp even started, with all sorts of testing that we did throughout the summer. And that's the way the game's changed. I think guys want to just get through training camp. Hopefully, don't get any injuries. The exhibition games, as you know, or preseason games, they don't really mean anything, but you want to get in a few just to kind of get your feel again for the action. But I know that we've just taken off a few days up to Muskoka. It's nice to get the guys together, do something, maybe play a little golf and do a few things together. We've got some new guys on the team, and it's important to have that chemistry and that time to bond a little bit and just get away from the city and from everything else.
And Daryl, you specifically brought up young players. Easton Cowan is a kid who is pushing for a roster spot come opening night. What advice would you give to Cowan as he tries to make the team here?
Well, just be himself. I mean, he's only there because of what he's done in the past, and obviously, it sounds like he's had a pretty good training camp. He's got a lot of skill, and just enjoy it and do the things you do well. I mean, sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself, and the expectations are higher than they should be. But just go in and have a little bit of fun. I know we're excited to watch him play. He didn't, like I said, he set all those records in junior hockey, and normally when guys come out of junior with those types of stats, they go on and do fairly well in the National Hockey League. But just be patient with it.
Yeah, some people's mentality is no matter who you are or what you've done, you're going to the minors to learn the pro game a little bit. Do you think that it's fair for him to play his way onto this roster?
If he's good enough, yes. And those coaches, they'll do that, from the get-go. Everybody's a little different. Some guys take a little longer. Some guys, one of the reasons you go down to the minors is you might not be getting the ice time, so to speak, that in the confidence that you would have in playing a lot of games in the minor leagues. But also when you're up practicing with the guys, it's obviously a different pace of hockey. You're around it, and you just stay ready for the chance mentally and physically. So when you get the chance and opportunity, it'll be there. It'll be there. I mean, things change, as we all know. Injuries happen, unfortunately, or guys don't play as well as they thought, or maybe the team doesn't. So you just wait. When you get that break, just be prepared to do the best you can. That's all you can do.
And on top of that, it is the Toronto market. And as you know, the last several months since losing to Florida in Game 7, big topic of conversation has been the media scrutiny. Do you think it's fair? What's your take on all that?
It's just reality. That's what it is. I mean, with the internet now, with the coverage they get, every team, but in Toronto, obviously, there's been so much, concern that we haven't won the cup, obviously, since 67. But the league is different. There's 32 teams. Everybody wants to win it. Every team has great management and draft picks and those sorts of things. But like I said earlier, now's our opportunity. We've built a pretty good hockey club here. We've been consistent throughout the season, and we just have to hopefully have those hockey gods working with us, and we get the few breaks in the seventh game and we win those games instead of losing them. But, now's the time for the Maple Leafs.
Yeah, you'd think so. And I mean, you've mentioned that now is the time, and the last couple of years has been, time to go. It hasn't happened. They've made some pretty considerable changes on the roster. What are your expectations for this season? Are they going to hit the ground running, or do you think there'll be some learning and some growing pains?
Well, that's hard to say. I know one thing: we'll be prepared every game, and the intensity will be there. The type of coach Berube is. He expects you to get out every shift and give it your all, get it face. So, but it's a good league and it's a tough league, and you're going to have your moments of things going well for you and things not going so well. It's important that if we don't get off to a good start, you still believe in yourself and know that it's really what you do at the end of the season, get into the playoffs and make it happen. So, I really believe we will be right up there again where we belong. We mentioned earlier about the goaltending. That has to be solid and good in order for you to be successful in this league. And we've had it before.
Yeah. Yeah, that's everything to me too. I think if you can't get a save, then you're in trouble. And I feel really, really good about the back end. Obviously the crease right now with this Maple Leafs team. And just to wrap, I mean, what's this? How special has this been to you the last couple years? Like, you're so invested with this organization. We see you everywhere at the golf tournament. What do you make of this group? Because obviously I think it takes a special person and player to play in this market, of course.
Well, we have a good group. I mean, Auston was made captain last year, and I'm sure that's a little bit of a growing curve for him. Not only what you do on the ice, but there's this expectation off the ice to represent the team in whatever areas off the ice that are important, charities. And John Tavares, I have a lot of respect for John Tavares. He's a great leader. We've got Riley. We've got lots of leadership on the team, and I think with that leadership. We're going to get off to a good start, hopefully, and we'll carry it all the way through. But I like what I see. I like being around it. It's nice when the fans in the city support us the way they do. And again, the expectations are high, and we want to fulfill those expectations for our fans.
Never said this in this market. This is our year, Daryl. Thank you so much for your time, and looking forward to October 8th here.
Here for me, 50th anniversary of the 10-point game coming up. Hard to believe, eh? You got around then, right? But your grandma's will tell you about it.
I've heard it before, Daryl. That's quite the thing. I can't believe it's been that long, but congrats. Looking forward to that.
Take care, guys.
Take care. That is the Maple Leafs legend, former captain, Hockey Hall of Famer. He's just everything to us. And this fan base, it is Daryl Sittler breaking things down. 50 years, a 10-point game. And all I could think about, I love the question, Rosie, about training camp, because I was going to say training camp back in his day probably was like a pack of darts and a whiskey. And now it's like these guys are all physical specimens. And I always try to put myself in the mind of today's player. Like, I feel like you don't even want to get after it anymore because a guy's in the gym training at 2 a.m. Like, it's a lot different, I think.
Yeah, there's more nerds now. No, that's not true. It's funny because it is generational, and training camp used to be to get into shape. And I remember when I first got to the Leafs, there was this little photocopy getting passed around. And it was the 1968 training camp. Maybe it was 67 training camp invitation. And it said, don't come in more than 10 pounds over your training weight. Let us know if you need to get there by rail. Bring your clubs, as golf will be an integral part. And you need to make sure you can do 10 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, and 30 toe touches as your physicals. And now guys are puking in garbage cans and just like breaking exercise bikes, and their body fat is minuscule, and they have to tell them to stop doing pull-ups because they just won't stop. It's just nuts. It's totally different. And the product on the ice speaks for itself. It's never been this fast and this agile and this skilled and this impressive. So a lot of differences for sure from Daryl's era to today, but hopefully those boys are doing it right and they are ready, because we need to do some damage this season.
It really is like incredible when you look back at the history and career of Daryl Sittler and the 10-point game specifically. Like guys don't even do that in beer league hockey. He did it in an NHL game. Like, and he's like the perfect example of like, you can be a legend in this market. Like, when you think Maple Leafs hockey, you think like Daryl Sittler's like top 3 at least, maybe if not the top guy, right? And you always think back to the game. So I'm sure guys in the current team like Matthews and Tavares and Nylander, you look at a guy like Daryl Sittler, like that's all the inspiration you need right there.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is with a historic hockey team, you're going to have those legends still
Hmm.
around, and they have reason to hang around and to be part of it because they love the organization and appreciate it, and it's mutual. So, yeah, I mean, when I was there, I've had nights and dinners and team functions and stuff when
Yeah.
Daryl was there and all kinds of other legends. And it's always nice to see them and remind you of what this organization is like and who came before you. So that stuff's always good. And I don't think it's going to change. And hopefully there's some future legends in the making on a team like this. And we've been saying forever, if a guy just could win the goddamn cup in Toronto, it would just be so much different than anyone else winning. And I mean, yeah, it'd be unreal if Edmonton won one and it was back in Canada, but like I don't know, they talk
No, it
about
wouldn't. No.
yeah. I mean, it would for them, but it's just
Yeah.
not. There would be nothing in the league like Toronto winning the cup, and there wouldn't even really be anything close. I mean, the Montreal was the last one to win it. Toronto hasn't won it since '67. To win it, there'd be so many haters and so much jubilation from the fans. It would just be something else, and those players would by default be legends forever by doing so. And that's part of the reason what makes it so hard is people know how freaking big of a deal it would be to get it done.
Yeah, certainly that is the allure of this market for sure. Tammy, thank you so much for the super chat in support of sick kids. Not sure if it's a coincidence or not, but it's interesting. Willie started a YouTube channel after how much the Leafs were criticized last season for the huge disconnect with the fans. Could be a step in the right direction, though. I think this is more about Keith Pelly, right? I think you notice since Pelly took over specifically, his attachment, of course, and his pass to the media, been a lot more exposure. You're starting to see a lot more personality. I love what Ryan Leslie has done with the team in the early going here. Even the video with Anthony Stolarz on Sunday, fresh off the extension, some of the one-on-ones he's done. I think just it opens up so much with the fan base if you feel a bit of a connection to these guys. In the past, I would say the Maple Leafs have been guilty of we don't really know the guys, like other teams, the fan base know the guys. And I think it's a cool aspect of what we're putting together, other entities as well, and now the Maple Leafs. I think it's awesome to see these guys behind the scenes, Rosie.
Yeah, it is. It's what everybody wants, right? And it's hard because it's a double-edged sword, especially for those players. You can give a little bit and show some personality, but if it comes off the wrong way, some of the media will pick it apart and scrutinize it and turn it into something that it isn't. So it makes them keep their mouth shut because when there's that much media and that many eyeballs on you, it doesn't really matter what you say. There's going to be some scrutiny, right? So I think it's growing pains. We're in the infancy of this world that we live in with YouTube and social media and what that means and your brand. And do you just keep your mouth shut and give them nothing? And like I mentioned with like a Bryson DeChambeau, how he's transformed himself on YouTube. Willie would be the guy. It doesn't surprise me with his personality and I don't really care mentality and attitude sometimes that he would be kind of one of the first guys to start it off, and we'll see what it does. Obviously the reason they don't do it in the past is it can be a distraction and why do you make it about yourself, and there's that kind of stuff. But again, with the modernization of our world and these accounts and going about your business with that stuff, I think that's going by the wayside and people are realizing there's value there. And obviously I think the fans, especially the young ones, will certainly like seeing Willie do his thing and showing some personality on his YouTube channel. I don't doubt it will be a pretty big success.
It's time now for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get in the game. Use code NATION. That's NATION, NATION. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. I don't know if you saw your email inbox on Friday, but this possibility bet is now live over at Bet365. Connor McDavid, which team will he be on September 22nd, 2026? Oilers minus 160, the field plus 130. Rosie, I am going to play the field.
Hey, I might as well piggyback you on that one. I'm searching through NHL preseason here. Who gives a shit? I'll do that too, man. Again, I've said it before. if a guy were to leave, he would say all of the things that Connor McDavid is saying right now. I think all signs point to him not being, there's nothing else to wait for. It's not like more money is going to come in. It's not like they're magically going to find a goal. Like, I just don't get it. I think he's going to play this contract out and do everything he bloody well can to win the Stanley Cup for the Edmonton Oilers. He has no animosity or anything, but he talked about his whole life leading up to this. He's worked his entire career to have this opportunity, and it's up to him and his family, and he's focused on this season. And there's just so many things where I'm just like, he's playing it out, and then he's going to go take his pick on where he's going to go. That's what I think. So I'll take the plus 130 money on that one and sprinkle it with you, man.
I'll say like minus 160. I would not feel good if I was an Oilers fan, because if you were to do that bet 6 months ago, would have been minus 1,000, minus 10,000. All right. So at plus 130, it's not real great value, but I think I'm just doing it for the sake of McDavid coming home, a story about a boyhood dream, a childhood dream. In support of Sick Kids, John Gallagher, thank you so much for the super chat. Can Rosie give us a nerds, like Ogre and Revenge of the Nerds screen test time?
Why do you put me on the spot with these goddamn questions? Nerds! I like Homer Simpson. Nerd! In the middle of his conversation. Don't put me on the spot, you guys. I'm not your puppet.
Dude, John paid $5 for you to say that. We appreciate that.
Oh, he
super
did for
chat.
Sick Kids? All right, then you got her.
Yeah.
You got her, Jimmy
that's for
boy.
Sick Kids right there. So if you have requests like that for Sick Kids, Rosie will do it within reason. I like the Emilio ones.
Go.
The Emilio requests are always good for me.
Here we go. There's got to be spur of the moment. More of a spur of the moment guy. It's like my kid. You put him on the spot, he'll just hide his face like a timid little child.
Anyways, that's all I got for you today. We want to talk some Stolarz. We're 9 days away. There's not much I could say about the preseason. We didn't even talk about that Habs game. Whatever. It's 4-2 Habs in that game. Couldn't tell you who played for Montreal. Couldn't tell you actually played a game for the Maple Leafs. Like, I mean, they were Sunday morning skate. But it starts for real in 9 days. The Leafs off to Muskoka. Back on Thursday, they are to host Detroit, the front end of a home and home with the Red Wings to wrap up the preseason slate. We're almost there, Rosie.
Yes, good. One more throwaway game, and then I don't know. We'll see what that last game looks like. But it's nice to know they're coming down the barrel. Things are looking good. Most people are healthy. Figure out the Joseph Woll situation, which I hope gets rectified sooner than later, and we can all feel good about starting the season off on the right foot is my plan. So we will take it from there, my man.
Again, some housekeeping notes. The season premiere, season 4 of Leafs Morning Takes, slated for next Monday, 11 a.m. Eastern time here. Leafs Morning Takes season premiere. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. Got another one coming your way on Friday. So next episode's coming up on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Before you head out at the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. And also don't forget to check out theleafsnation.com. Lastly, thank you to Darryl Sittler for dropping by today's program. Can't believe it's been 50 years and the 50-year anniversary of the 10-point game. Thank you to producer Vic, everybody in the chat. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga. We'll talk on Wednesday. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at the Leafs Nation